Good morning and welcome to the programme. Happy Valentine's Day, and for anybody not celebrating Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day to you too. Hope you have a great day. Mulligan's Pharmacy want to help you share the love with someone special this Valentine's Day. Julie just asked me to pronounce, do you know the pronunciation of that fragrance? I said I'll give it a go. Izzy Miyake, his and her fragrances. So we have earn triple points with all fragrances in their Blue Club loyalty programme. Enjoy a branded bag. Shop in store, mulliganspharmacy.com. So all we need to do is want you to text in your cringiest chat-up lines. Your cringiest chat-up lines that you've ever heard or that you've uttered yourself. 083 3333 975 or call 051 846 123. Audrey is waiting to hear your cringiest chat-up lines, and she's expecting some really cringy ones. So you can win this lovely prize in Izzy Miyake, his and her fragrances, courtesy of Mulligan's Pharmacy. Text, WhatsApp, or you can phone, as I say, Audrey on 051 846 123. You can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram. Emily Wicks has just texted to make sure to say she's from Slieve Keel Road, not Keynes's Road. Very, very important. Emily, thank you very much. We look forward to talking to you. Emily was on First Dates during the week. We're also going to be talking to Colin Power about the canvassing and Facebook situation, and I'm going to talk to Kieran Cassidy, producer of the movie Jihad Jane. It's been released in the cinemas today. Really interesting. Anne Scully is coming in, owner of The Dresser, in business for almost 26 years. She is closing down for personal reasons today. I'm going to be talking also to Killian Bonner and Daryl Fitzgerald, two Waterford privates in the army over in the Lebanon, doing an absolutely fabulous undertaking for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Julie Ward and Michael Quinn are going to be talking about all things Valentine's. We've got the Business Awards. We've got so much to talk about. Firstly, we're going to go to a very serious story. Louise Maloney has been talking to me. She's the daughter of 78-year-old Nancy. Nancy probably listened to this morning with her family, and Nancy suffered a horrendous attack in Kilrush in Dungarvan during the week. Our thoughts go out to you, Nancy, and to all your family, and we hope you are recovering as best you can. It's just horrendous what you're going to hear next. This is my chat with Louise Maloney.
Hi, my mum is 78 years of age, a very active lady. She's involved with the Ladies' Shed in Dungarvan, likes her walks, is an independent, strong woman, fortunately, in this occasion. And last Monday evening between 6, we think, and 6:30, she was attacked by 2 to 3 men. We're not quite sure whether it was 3, but it was definitely 2. Went to her house.
What's your mother's name and where does she live?
She lives in Kilrush in Dungarvan.
Kilrush in Dungarvan.
And yeah, her name is Nancy. I won't give the second name, if that's okay.
No, that's okay. She was in the house in the afternoon. Does she live on her own?
She does. She lives on her own, but we drop in, daughters and siblings and granddaughters, and we, at various times we drop in and out. But she was inside listening to the news. She heard the Angelus, and she just heard noise, but it was, Storm Ciara was in full force at the time, so she thought it was the wind outside and went to the back door. And as she went to the back door, she saw 2 masked men coming in against her. We discovered that they'd broken the lock. She was a bit confused at the time. She thought maybe she opened the door to them, but she didn't. They broke the lock and were entering. And then they just came against her, knocked her to the floor. Now, she wrestled them as best she could, but at 78 and you have 2 men coming against you, you're not that strong. So wrestled her to the ground, took the laces out of her shoe, tied her hands behind her back, told her to be quiet, that she would be all right. She did shout, but then they stuffed a rag in her mouth, pinned her to the floor and kept her there while they raided the house and got away with cash. Now, I suppose really all I want to say to people is, if you have panic buttons or panic alarms, please have them on you. Please use them. It's very important. Mum didn't have hers on at the time, but the way they came at her, we reckon they were checking her hands if she had it on. But if she had it around her neck or somewhere else, she could have quickly hit it.
And
I suppose,
does she have a panic alarm system in the house? Does she have a panic button in the house?
Yeah, she's everything.
And where was it at that moment?
Her panic button was in her bedroom, hanging up on the dressing table. but it should have been on her wrist. She didn't have it on her wrist. You know, you can also have it around your neck. So for all those people who live alone and have them hanging on hooks and dressing tables and wherever they have them, please put them on them, because one little press of that and they just, you know, the alarm goes off and everybody's alerted. You know, her neighbours would have been alerted to what was going on.
Yeah, but she's sitting down watching the Angelus, about to watch the news, and she's obviously not thinking, well, there's not going to be a robbery at this time of the evening, and why would you sort of think that? But this is just horrendous. Did she, when you say she tried to wrestle them, she literally tried to stop them coming in, did she?
Well, they pushed her in, like they pushed her into her hallway and kitchen. You know, they were coming in, but she did her best to fight back. But sure, you know, you couldn't. Even I, the whole of my health, wouldn't be able to wrestle somebody. You know, they were men, obviously. She's, you know, of an Irish accent, of a certain height and a certain, you know, she couldn't tell her accent. She said, I couldn't, but if I heard the voice, she'd recognise it again. But and they were probably Irish. You know, that's all we do know.
Okay, and they were masked, and did they have any weapons or any bar?
Yeah, they had something, she said something silver, but she couldn't distinguish what it was, because when they wrestled her to the ground, her face was into the ground with stuff, the gag stuffed in her mouth.
Oh my God.
So you know, they just kept saying, be quiet and you'll be okay. That's all they kept saying. That was all. There wasn't any more conversation other than that. And
obviously she was going to try to scream, and then they shoved a rag into her mouth. And was this a rag that they had with them? No. They used her dishcloth that she uses for her wash up and put that into her mouth. They didn't have anything like that coming in with them, and they used her laces off her shoes to tie her hands behind her back. And did she find it very difficult to breathe? Did she think she was going to suffocate?
Yeah, she did, yeah. That was the worst part, she said. That was her biggest thing. The fright of that alone, you know, but, you know, she got strength to obviously keep strong. And as they kind of left, they pulled the rag and just ran. So that was a small bit of mercy from thugs, because that's all they are. And they have a mum and a granny and an aunt. You know, would they like that done to their parents or relations? I certainly was not brought up to be that type of person. And, you know, anyone that passed Kilrush that night who would have seen anything of the slightest bit that they thought was unusual or different, or 2 or 3 men dressed in black walking along the footpath around, you know, that area, somebody had to see something, no matter how small. Please tell Dungarvan Gardaí. How the smallest thing can be the biggest solution to all of this.
How long were they in the house for, Louise?
She's not sure. We're not sure. She said she felt like it was a long time. It could have been up to 10 minutes. We don't know, you know, time-wise we're not sure, but she said it felt like forever, which naturally did in her situation.
The poor woman.
Yeah.
And what did they rob? What did they get away with? I presume
they got cash.
Presume they turned the house inside out as well. And
not too bad now. It wasn't that ransacked. They kind of knew what they were after and got it. Now, they never asked her for money. They never asked her for cash. So it's a bit unusual as a robbery. But look, we just want to kind of say, for all people living on their own, just use their panic buttons, use their alarms, lock their doors.
And how did she raise the alarm? How was the alarm raised?
She just slid along the floor, and she knew she had scissors in the bottom drawer, and just how she managed it, I don't know, but she did. Got into the drawer with her hands behind her back tied, used the scissors to cut the lace, freed herself, and then got in contact with us.
And
the Gardaí in Dungarvan were fantastic. They were with her within minutes and have been in and out with her with a good while now, you know, looking after her, liaison with her. Everybody's in and out, and they're fantastic. Couldn't say enough about them. To all her neighbours, people calling, you know, all concerned for her welfare.
And Louise, How do you feel about this? Like when you hear that
Terrible. Terrible.
It must be very upsetting for you.
For everybody. Yeah.
I'm very sorry to think of your...
Yeah, she worked hard for what she has, so did my dad. It's still sad. You know, and I don't mean to be upset, but it is upsetting. And for people, you know, who can help, please try whatever it is, whatever little bit, you know, please tell the guards. Please tell them somebody knows, somebody saw something, no matter how small it was. It was the dark of evening, between 6 and 6:30, we think. Somebody saw something. Please come forward and tell them, because it could be their parents, it could be their mum and dad. And, you know, 6 o'clock is a busy time of the evening with a lot of traffic passing. It was brazen, whoever did it.
Yeah, I interviewed a man in Portlaw of the similar age who was attacked in his house last year. How's your mum now? Like, what's...
Sure, look, she's good, really. She's a strong person. She's independent, you know. Obviously, everything will change in her life, as you would imagine. But as a family, you know, we will be there a lot more as best we can. You know, we all work. It's all busy. We all have busy lives. We're all working people. But look, her neighbours, everybody will all come on board now and do our best to help out and keep her secure.
Her life has been changed irrevocably because of this.
I would hope not, but it's still a huge fear for all of us. You know, it was our worst nightmare came through. I went in the other evening and I can't remember driving in the road with the fear of what I was going to see when I went in. You know, they roughed her up, but it could have been a million times worse, but that's not a consolation either. It's her home, it's her, where you're supposed to be secure. She had all the security things. Okay, the alarm wasn't on, but her back door was locked. You know, again, if she had the panic button, that would have really helped. She has the panic button. She didn't have it on her. That's what I'm trying to say. Please, people living on your own, have them on. Use them. Any doubt, don't answer the door. Don't go near the door, press it. That's what it's for. You know, it's for your own security. Please don't have them hanging on presses and in presses. Have them on you.
Louise, I'm so sorry, and I hope the culprits are caught. And I just feel so sorry for your mum and your family.
You know, I appreciate the call, and we just want to make aware of the panic button and the security and any little things that people see oddness of. You know, cars parked here, people that shouldn't be there. Please tell the guards. They only appreciate any information, you know, or things you see odd. We all see odd things. Report it, say it, take a car number.
Yeah.
Look at the red, you know, the colour, whatever. Strange things, and they're not strange. There's usually a reason for these things. And people that are places they shouldn't be.
Louise Maloney, listen, thank you.
No problem. Thanks very much.
What do you think of that? 083 333 975. Big brave men, cowards, says this texter. An awful ordeal for anyone to have to go through, and at that age, the poor woman. Damien, my heart goes out to that poor lady. If this kind of thing ever happened to anyone belonging to me, I'd find out who did it. Damien, just listening to that woman, and my heart goes out to her. A scum of the earth. Hopefully her mother Nancy is on the mend. Damien can't believe what that lady has gone through. My parents are in their 70s. How do you go about getting a panic button? There is a group called Pobal, P-O-B-A-L, P-O-B-A-L, pobal.ie if you want to go online. Also, if you want to give the Garda station a ring, and they would be able to advise you. Dirty, low-life scum to do this to an elderly lady, and shame on the people who defend them. There's somebody out there who knows who these men are, if you want to call them men, and I'll leave it up to yourselves if you want to contact the authorities about this, because You wouldn't like it to happen to your mother, would you? A lot of reaction to that interview we did with Louise a few minutes ago. Damien, only one word for it: sick, says Paul in Dungarvan. May they rot, they'll have no good luck. May God be their judge, says William Murray in Dungarvan. Other texts on other matters. Damien, can you please ask those people who are taking down election posters to collect up the electrical ties as well? I collected this bundle in 5 minutes yesterday evening along the footpath in Kilmeaden, and a text in from that person with the picture of what was there. Damien, my cringiest chat-up lines. So if you want to send in your cringiest chat-up lines to win a prize from Mulligan's Pharmacy. Izzy Miyake, his and her fragrances, courtesy of Mulligan's Pharmacy. Excuse me, 083 3333 975. I'm going to be talking to Kieran Cassidy in a second. I might ask Kieran about his cringiest chat-up line. Have a think about that, Kieran. I wish I was cross-eyed so I could see you twice. Oh, God. Did you fart? Because you just blow me away. Have you any raisins? No. How about a date then? I hope you know CPR because you're taking my breath away. These are seriously cringy, all right. Keep your texts and comments coming in. If you want to phone in, 051 846 123 and tell Audrey your cringiest chat-up line. She's not expecting anything too bad, but if you want to. Damien, regarding those people, even if they get caught, they go to the judge, they might get a slap on the wrist. You don't have a TV licence, you might get a month in jail. That's our system. Damien, it would be my worst nightmare. I lock my doors after 6 o'clock at night. Kieran, good morning. Hello, Kieran Cassidy. Good morning.
Hello, Damien. How are things?
Good, good, good. You were away in dreamland there for a second, were you? You were thinking, he's not going to come to me at all.
No. I think it just comes in there for a little second. Sorry about that. There was a little beeping noise.
Okay, just make sure you're in a good signal area there, thanks, if you don't mind. See, the line is dropping slightly, but it should be okay. You're a producer of the movie Jihad Jane. It's being released in cinemas today. Remind us who Jihad Jane is, please. This woman who's dominated your life for the past 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I met you down in Waterford around 2011, and you would have been the first person on the scene reporting it when you were the southeastern correspondent for.
That's right.
RTE. And I think there's a lot of water under the bridge for yourself since then, those days as well, as you're in WLR there. But with myself, I've been kind of following the story and of what went on in that apartment in Waterford, and following the cases of Colina Rose and Jamie Butler and Mohammed Hassan Khalid.
And it says in the Irish Times today, it's not uncommon to hear phrases such as stranger than fiction or couldn't make it up bandied about in relation to a documentary. But set against the oddest headline Jihad Jane makes for a head-spinning story. You've got 4 stars in the review in the Irish Times today. That's really, really good, Kieran. Well done.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, I think you know yourself, it's very confusing. It's a very complex case. Like I think your listeners will hear in a couple of minutes, there's a lot of different characters involved. So it was a huge kind of job for myself, the editor and producers and everybody involved to be able to kind of break it down into an hour and a half so an audience gets an idea that what would have been a thing orders, and also just who these people were that were involved in the conspiracy, what their kind of backgrounds were. But yeah, we're happy with the reviews that have come in.
Oh, that's excellent, and it's been a labour of love for you. Like I say, you've really put your heart and soul into this, and to do it justice from what I can see in the reviews, and I know you a little bit over the years, you've left RT now yourself, but you've done a great work, because to do an hour and a half documentary, as you say, it's hard to put it all into the one thing, but it tells the story, I suppose, of one of the most absurdist terrorist cells ever to come together. It's about the internet, it's about the online world, it's about the plans to murder the Swedish cartoonist. There's so many strands in it, and then to pull that all together in a narrative to make that accessible for the public, it's a difficult task.
Yeah, like I think like it's kind of it's probably like one of the hot button topics of the last decade or whatnot, like the issue of radicalisation. And especially with the kind of increase in broadband speeds, on internet radicalisation, be it white nationalists, and then be it with Islamic terrorism. And this story, kind of when you start cutting through it, just like there's no simple narrative. There's just an awful lot going on. So you have like internet that they all met in chat rooms in different parts of the world. So they all met in reality in Waterford, but these were people who were communicating in Philadelphia, Colorado, Texas, Baltimore, So it was a kind of this story would never have happened in the 1960s. It would never have happened in the 1960s. It really was only 2009 or 2010 was the first inkling that something like this would have happened, when you have videos that are able to be communicated very quickly, when people were able to communicate, chat, whatnot, at very high speeds, all from different parts of the world. And there was just a kind of myriad of different other issues that really hit through concerning the vulnerability of people online, the factors behind radicalisation. And then the other thing, when you're going through all of those other things, it's Waterford as well. I think that's one of the most bizarre things. For all of these kind of characters, they ride down to the very centre of the town, and we're there. I think Colleen was there for maybe a month. She wasn't there very long. But Jamie Paul and Ramirez was there for the guts of 6 months. But I don't know if anybody in Waterford will remember her. I mean, that's the quite haunting thing about it, and the kind of strange thing. Because they were there in the centre of the town, and we were in where they were living, and you could look out and you could see that they were in this very, very the heart of the city. You can see a number of churches through the windows, and the child who was Jamie Paul and Ramirez's son recounts that. All his memory of Waterford is that it was a little bit dark outside the window, and you could just see the churches all through the window.
Yeah, I think it was on High Street, wasn't it?
Exactly. So I think it's just a Dunn Stores, and just down from that, just a couple of restaurants. But they would have been looking out the back, and there was a couple of churches there.
Yeah.
And that was the view. And Jamie Paul and Ramirez, as I said, we kind of get into the story, but she was there for 6 months. I think she only left that apartment 4 times in the whole time that she was there. So it's a very, very unusual case for people in Waterford, in the sense that this would have been the lead story in CNN when they arrested, the lead story of NBC. It wasn't just like they were featured in the news. It was a big, big story, and you remember that yourself. But I think the people's recollections of these people themselves and the incident, especially somebody like Jamie and the son, it's very minimal, because they were just up in the apartment, just watching people pass by the window.
It's on general release across the country. I know there's a number of cinemas in Waterford going to show it as well because of the Waterford connections. I'm not sure exactly on the times. We might try and get that before the end of the programme. Are you happy with the final production, Kieran?
Yeah. No, we I think the thing about it was that, with this story, that we were down and we talked to yourself about it, and then we were talking to, at the very start of it, and then we talked to other people, and it was really that we eventually felt we needed to talk to the FBI. We talked to Jamie. We talked to her family in Colorado. We talked to Colleen when she got out of prison, and we followed her the day she got out of prison, until she went back to Philadelphia and hooked up with her probation officer. But you needed to get all of those dominoes in a row to get kind of some sort of insight or idea of what had happened when they were in Waterford, and what the kind of full, because it's just as you were saying at the very start, it's stranger than fiction. It's absurd. There's no rationale to it. If people are listening in here, sometimes you can't make sense of it. Colleen radicalised, I think, after a one-night stand in Amsterdam, after she had a row with a boyfriend, if you remember, concerning that. And then she went back. That kind of ignited her interest in, the man was a Muslim, and that ignited her interest in religion. She went on side and started looking for dating websites, and she just went further and further into the internet, and that was the beginning of her journey into radicalisation, but just very, very unusual and absurd. And I think that's the whole thing, with the story, nothing really defies convention. Just give you a case, this isn't in the doc, Damien, but one of the things that I met Colleen. So Colleen, here's Jihad Jane, so that was the woman who was arrested in the centre of the headline. She was the main co-conspirator who was plotting to kill the Swedish cartoonist. But when she was caught, how she was caught was she actually contacted the FBI. So she emailed from Waterford to the FBI saying, "I'm here, if you want to talk to me, and pick me up." And she flew back and she was picked up and whatnot. But before she emailed the FBI, she actually called into the Garda station of Waterford looking for their FBI department on the counter.
Oh, that's just phenomenal.
And there's a guard there, and I think he just didn't know what
to say.
But it's just so unusual and strange, and there's quite a harrowing background to all the characters involved in it. So I don't want to make light of the film.
Of course.
But I just think with the case, when you're kind of given a kind of an insider taster to your listeners, it's very unusual case that just ended up in High Street in Waterford.
Yeah. Kieran, we're going to play the trailer in a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's lovely to talk to you again. Continued success and well done. And I hope the documentary travels far and wide. Kieran Cassidy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Damien. Bye-bye.
Thanks, really appreciate it there. Kieran Cassidy there, the director, producer of the Jihad Jane movie, and it's on at 6:20 in the Omniplex today. You can find out more about it. We'll play the trailer there in a little while. Next, we've got Anne Scully. Now, keep your texts and comments coming in. And make sure to text in your cringiest chat-up lines, 083 333 975, text or WhatsApp, or you can call Audrey on 051 846 123. I'll give you a kiss. If you don't like it, you can return it. And there's some really horrendously cringy chat-up lines. Any cringy chat-up lines, Anne?
No cringy chat-up lines. I actually find it very hard to remember even being chatted up, because I suppose we met people differently. You went out as groups and you... like when I was in college, I worked in a pub, so you met loads of people. So they weren't inclined to chat you up, but maybe they might ask you out at, later on in the night when they felt happier.
Anne Scully, tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, Damien, I'm from West Limerick originally, and I came to Waterford probably 28 years ago. I came to work in Shaw's as a retail manager, and I was there for about 18 months. And I'd always had an inkling and a desire, I suppose, to have my own business. And I was talking to my brother and he said, well, why don't you do it? And I said, the reason most people don't do it, is because, probably not having enough money. And he said, well, I have the money. You have the expertise. We'll do it together. And that's what we did. So the premises became available on George's Street. And we opened the shop there. Would have been 26 years this April.
And the shop is known as The Dresser?
It's The Dresser, yes.
Just a simple name because you just picked it as...
Yeah, I suppose when we opened first, we did an awful lot of craft, pottery. And most people would put their pottery on a dresser in their house. So that's where the name came from. And I suppose it was synonymous with an awful lot of homes. People would have had dressers. So that's where the name came from originally.
And it wasn't your premises. You were renting it from a landlord.
I was, yeah. And I have been very lucky. I've been so lucky in all kinds of ways. I've had two very, really good, understanding landlords over the years. And that has made my life, I suppose, a lot easier. Like when times got difficult, my landlord was great. You know what I mean? I suppose it works both ways. Like he kept his tenant and I kept my shop. You know what I mean? And I suppose people say, oh, it's the rent and the rates, that's why you're going. But it has nothing to do with either of them because, the rates are nothing I have control over. But the rent was always it was very easy for me to stay because my landlords were great.
So that would literally mean having a discussion with them and saying, listen, can you give me a reduction for a while? I'll pay a bit more back in another time or whatever, and just working it out with them, is it? Yeah,
I think that's it. I suppose that's the benefit maybe of having a local landlord as well because they were people, not institutions. So you would go up to say, listen, and they were in business themselves. They knew exactly what was happening. You know what I mean? And for them, it's better to keep a good tenant than to look for rent that's not sustainable and nobody in there. So I suppose over the 26 years, they've never had to look for their rent. So in that instance, we worked together and it worked out really well.
So you started in the 90s. Waterford was, I suppose, taking off. And then we had 2000s. Things were very good. And then we had the crash in 2008. And then we had Waterford Crystal closing 2009, 2010. So then, I suppose 2010 to even now, or the last 2 or 3 years, were very difficult. Yeah,
when I started in 1993 or 94, things wouldn't have been great in Waterford at that stage. But a lot of people say you're mad to go into business, but actually it's probably the best time to start a business because you can start from a low base and you can build it up and you can make your mistakes and you don't pay as much for them if you're starting at a time when business is difficult.
Good advice, yeah.
And then, yes, we built our business up and we had a great run of business, from, we'll say, the 2002, 2010. We really did. And we were in a great location. We had great support from the people of Waterford. I suppose over the years, 80% of my business is repeat business. You know what I mean? And that says a lot about the people of Waterford. And then in 2010, yes, things did start to become more difficult. And they are still very difficult. But I suppose the difficulty now lies in the way business has gone. So I suppose an awful lot of people, particularly I suppose maybe younger people and everything, they shop online. There's no doubt about it. And that does make it difficult for people who don't have an online presence. You know what I mean? I suppose why people keep coming to us is because I suppose it's the personal service you get in the smaller shops in town. That's why people still use them. And I suppose I would urge people to keep doing that, because like an awful lot of the small businesses in town are like me, like, small independent retailers. And they do give great service, you know what I mean? And they are there, I suppose, to build relationships with people over the years. And I think that's what people need to realise. You will never get that from Google. You'll never get that from Amazon. And I suppose the small business community in Waterford are the ones that support, like the local GAA club. They're the ones giving you the spot prizes, all of those kind of things. And you're never going to see Amazon hand you out a spot prize for your sale of work. Let's be honest here.
And that's applying not just in Waterford City, but in Tramore, in Dungarvan, in Cappoquin, and all over, and in South Kilkenny, all over the country.
And that's it. The thing is about it, like, you know what I mean? I suppose small independent retailers or big independent retailers, they're the spine of most communities, because that's where people will always go for support for anything. And I think if we don't support that kind of business, we're going to lose the heart of our cities and towns and villages. And nobody wants that. I've been so lucky in Waterford. I have fantastic neighbours on George's Street, and we all support each other and help each other out. I know if I'm in trouble, I can go across the road or in next door to any of the people that are in those shops, and they will help, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? Whether it's the fact that you've a bit of trouble, whether it's you need change, whether all of those kind of things. And you do the same for them. And I don't think you're going to get that online.
Why are you getting out of business?
Well, I'm not getting out of business completely, because we have a shop in Newcastle West, which is my hometown. But I suppose there comes a time when you have to make a decision. And my lease was up on George's Street, so I had to sit down and think, did I want to stay? And I suppose part of me does, and part of me is very sad to be going. But the other part of me wants to maybe have an opportunity to take a break, and if something comes up, do something different. Don't know what the difference is yet, Damien, but you never know.
Have you any hobbies?
Well, I read a lot, I walk a lot, and it was very funny. My hairdresser, Linda, she said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, I'd love to learn how to hot ride, Linda. And really funny, she came in before last week with a riding crop, and she says, "Now you have to do it," she said, But it would be an opportunity maybe to do something that I like that. I'd love to learn how to horse ride. Or, I don't know. Damien, I don't know really. Like, there's lots of world out there, you know.
Well, you have your health.
I have, thank God.
And you have a good attitude to life. So you're going out on your own terms, or moving on your own terms. It's not like the recession has forced you to leave. You're saying, like, this is a viable business, and there is a business there for somebody if anybody wants to put a shop into that location. It's a great location. It's
a fantastic location. And I suppose all the world and its mother goes up and down George's Street, which is great. And Waterford is a fantastic city. You know what I mean? I think sometimes we don't shout enough about how great Waterford is. Like, you have everything. You have the sea, you have the mountains, you have proximity to everywhere. People who come into, like I say, 80% of my business is local. Well, 20% of my business is visitors. And the one thing they say, they love coming to Waterford. Like, they love the fact that they can walk into the shops, that people say hello to them, that everything is easy. And I think sometimes we don't shout loud enough about how great the place we live in is. And it is great.
That's very, very nice. A lot of people texting in to wish you the very best. Joe has texted, absolutely so sad to see Anne leaving. My favourite shop for gifts and homewares. Anne and the staff were so fabulous, kind, and know their stock so well. Nothing was too much for them. We'll truly miss them and wish you all the very, very best in the future. And another of people saying the same thing. So,
that's lovely to hear.
And I know there's been a lot of people coming into the shop to you over the last 3-4 weeks.
There has been an awful lot. And it's lovely. I suppose you don't ever realise the goodwill that's out there until people come in and start saying, "Oh, I'm really going to miss you." And I was saying, that's the only thing that actually makes me sad, you know what I mean? Because I find that hard, you know what I mean? That saying goodbye to people, like people that I have had in my shop, like I've had them for the 26 years, some of them, you know what I mean? And that is difficult, you know what I mean? And I will miss that part of it, because I suppose I live out the country, and the great thing about coming to town every day is you knew you were going to see somebody every day, and you knew you'd have a chat with somebody every day. So I'll miss all of that.
A lady phoned in to say lovely stuff in the dresser. You couldn't get the like of it anywhere else. She's going to miss it when it's gone. The lady said she didn't give her name. The very best of luck to you, Anne.
Thank you very much, Damien, and thank you for the opportunity. And I would like to say that I want to thank all my customers and actually all the people who worked at my shop over the years. Like I said, I know I keep saying it, but I have been very lucky with my staff, with my customers, and with where I was in Waterford.
Are you closing the doors today?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. What time?
About 4 o'clock, I think. I couldn't stay there probably till 5:30. I just find it too sad.
There won't be tears, will there?
There could be. I hope not, but there could be.
Anne, thank you.
Thanks, Damien.
Good morning and welcome back. Colin is talking about the chocolates here in front of us. Anne brought us in chocolates. We'll give you chocolate in a minute now.
OK, thanks, Damien.
Firstly, chat up lines, people keep texting in, please. 083 3333 975 or call Audrey on 051 846 123. Your cringiest chat up line, and in with a chance to win his and her fragrances by Izzy Miyake. Do you like the way I pronounce that, Colin?
Yeah, it's not the best intro for this subject, I don't think, to be honest.
Fragrances. Colin Power, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Damien. We appreciate it as well.
Not at all. You are in the news this week and last week, and also, I suppose, perpetually at present, because the Commission of Inquiry into matters surrounding Bill Keneally still hasn't had its public hearings, still hasn't gone into a way of getting closure for yourselves. Yourselves and a number of men were victims of Bill Keneally over the years. The matter came up this week and last week regarding canvassing and Fianna Fáil canvassing. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I also want to talk about a Facebook post. We dealt with it yesterday by Mark Dunn coming in, and it was the Mary Butler Facebook post, and Mary has issued a statement about this, Mary Butler TD, and she's gone to the guards about it, and she believes that her Facebook post was hacked. But you're effectively saying some people believe that you were behind some campaign to bring this up, and that's not the case. Yeah,
it's certainly not the case, Damien. You know, and I want to be very clear on this, and I have a responsibility to Jason Clancy, Paul Walsh, Barry Murphy, Kevin Keaton and Ger Milan as well in this. It's not just Colin Power here speaking, it could be any of us. It's the way that the cards fell that I'm here. But I listened to Mark Dunn yesterday. I'm not on Facebook, never have been. But again, I think, you know, Mark was very articulate, and I think Mary Butler has more questions really to answer, and I think she needs to clarify now, you know, has she actually reported the alleged hack of her Facebook page that put a smiley face on a post by Jason Clancy, or has she, you know, gone to the guards about the online harassment? And I want to be very clear, in her statement, she said it's a sustained and coordinated campaign of online hate and harassment, and in that statement we are referred to as well as victims of child sex abuse. We have never, ever, nor would we ever conduct any online campaign of hate or harassment. We made a decision, all of us collectively together back in 2016, that we're going to go about this in a dignified and respectful way. We have always done that, and we have heard indirectly from people that they have asked members of our extended family, you know, is Mary Butler's statement referring to the lads? And I want to categorically state here, you know, we've been involved in a lot of robust stuff, that's the nature of this, but we have never been disrespectful, and that goes, you know, I'm talking for all the lads, and I can stand over all of them because they're all good guys and we've done this the right way. But I have serious issues in this with Mary Butler.
And on the questioning then on the Facebook thing, on the statement. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
The next thing is the canvassing, and again we've given Mary right to reply, right to come on the programme.
Damien, I'd prefer to be sitting across the table here with her,
and having a chat with her. Yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
In a respectful, calm manner.
And that might still happen. We don't know.
I hope it does. I hope she, you know, she's an elected representative by the people of Waterford. She has questions to answer on this, and like we've been asking these questions of her since 2016.
So in 2016, yourself and Saoirse McGarrigle, a journalist with the Mirror, you went and met Mary Butler, and this was about, the election was taking place in 2016, the general election. And at the time, People would have known from stories that I would have done in the past as well that a cousin of Bill Keneally, Brendan Keneally, would have been involved as high up in the elections, former TD in Waterford.
Yeah, no, can I just stop you there for a second? This is another misconception. We have never ever said that anybody's relation can be held responsible for those crimes. This is nothing about to do. It doesn't matter whether he's a relation or not. It's the fact, it's the facts of what he did or what he didn't do. It's not about him being a relation of Keneally or anybody else.
Yes.
Nobody can be held responsible for others' actions.
And we have stressed that on this programme as well, consistently.
We have never said that, but Mary Butler has replied on a couple of occasions to us, because this comes up intermittently, and she would say that Brendan Keneally he didn't do anything illegal and he can't be held. We have never suggested he did anything illegal, and we have never suggested that any relation of any person that commits a crime should be held responsible for those actions. It's just another smokescreen from Mary Butler's PR advisors up in Dublin.
And there's nothing to suggest that whatsoever. What we do know is from a victim, another person who spoke with Brendan Keneally back in 2002, and he went to get counselling for Bill Keneally.
Brendan Keneally, has admitted that he was told, and he went to Monsignor Shine, who happened to be another relation of both men.
Who's now deceased.
And let's just put this in context, Damien. Brendan Keneally, wasn't just an ordinary Joe Soap like myself or Barry Murphy or any of the other lads. Brendan Keneally was an elected member of the Oireachtas. He was a legislator at the time. He was a TD. When he lost his position in 2002, he wasn't elected. Bertie Ahern appointed him to the Seanad, and he got a seat back in 2007 again. So, and ironically, when I read up on this, I knew he was a minister, but he was a minister for state, for transport, tourism and communications, and
have you ever spoken to Brendan Keneally?
No, look, it's the same thing we get all the time when we try to get answers, and this is why I want this nailed down today very firmly, because we have bigger things to be dealing with, Damien, rather than this stuff with Mary Butler putting out false, inaccurate press statements and running for the hills. And I think she
would say there's nothing false about that statement.
Well, I can tell you now, and if you give me a chance, I have the statement. I usually go to these meetings with the lads and I go in unprepared. Last night, for the first time in my life, I did some homework on this, and I'll tell you what the inaccuracies of that statement are. The first one I would be very annoyed with is, there is a perception from that statement that we are involved in that harassment campaign. We are not, never will be. I've said that already. Mary Butler has said, again there, and I've dealt with this, she's been criticised for having a relation of the perpetrator. It's not about the relation. It's about whoever he was. We would have an issue with this. She has said that she has given unwavering and complete support to us. That is inaccurate in our view from our dealings with not only Mary Butler but with Fianna Fáil in general. They have given us no help. They would say to you, we wrote a letter, we met the victims. That was years ago. They've done damn all since that, and they'll hide behind all these things and reasons and their PR. But, the fact of the matter is they haven't been helping, and other people. And can I just say, whatever my views are on what Eddie Mulligan did or what David Cullinane did, these guys are elected representatives. Eddie to the council, he's a councillor and does an awful lot of work, to be fair to him. David, 20,000 votes. They were both involved in controversies, we'll call them, and they were hauled over the coals about this, but they sat in here and they spoke to you and they took responsibility for their actions. I'd hope Mary Butler, what's the difference? She's an elected representative. We're people of Waterford. Why isn't she in here taking responsibility for her actions? Now also,
we've given her the option to do that, and
I understand that.
Might well do that.
Well, I don't see why she hasn't done it already. Now, the other issue here, she says, all I can do is apologise. I would never intentionally try to cause any upset or distress. Now, I'll take that at face value, right? We all know Barry articulated well, and it's in the News and Star as well, what happened. And, to be fair to Linda, I don't know whether she'll thank me for saying this, but Linda is well able to stand up for herself.
This was the fact that Brendan was out canvassing for Fianna Fáil over the last few weeks, and we don't know if he was canvassing personally with Mary Butler herself.
Well, he was canvassing for Mary Butler. So, let's be clear about this. And, in 2016 elections, Brendan Keneally was the canvass coordinator for Mary Butler. Now, again, that's a fact. You know, there's no ambiguity here. That's a fact. He's still a party member. And just to clarify that, I couldn't find out quickly enough, is he still now? But up to April last year, because I checked last year again, because we've brought this up with many members of Fianna Fáil in Waterford. He's still a member of Fianna Fáil in Waterford. And, you know, Mary Butler has a lot of... But so do Fianna Fáil in Waterford. And I know a lot of the councillors, and I have a lot of respect for them. But, you know, Fianna Fáil need to come out and say once and for all, you know, yes, situation? Brendan Keneally is a member and we don't have an issue with it. Yeah. And that's fine. But stop hiding behind all these things. And, like, we have an issue...
And talk.
Yeah, another issue we have with him canvassing is the nature of this is a lot of the victims have family members living in the area that he's canvassing in. You know, Linda's well able to stand up for herself, and so are we. But our parents, you know, are of a certain age now, given the nature of it, so they're in their 70s or their 80s. You know, they would be shocked because of what happened to Brendan Keneally. And it would cause upset.
Again,
and I have given the
nothing to indicate Brendan did anything wrong whatsoever. He's
nothing illegal. I believe he did something wrong in that he didn't go to the guards. But he didn't do it. If he did that now, it would be illegal. Let's be quite clear about that.
And in 2002, it wasn't illegal.
It was correct. And I'm not saying, nor have any of the lads ever given any indication that he did something illegal. This is about a legislator, a member of government, who got information that somebody was being sexually abused, and he went to the Monsignor Shine who happened. That's what our issue is, and we do not think it is appropriate that this man is canvassing and is still a member of the Fianna Fáil party.
And you want answers. Colin Power, thank you very much.
Thank you, Damien.